Okay, so here you can see that all the paper has been primed on both sides. You know, I started using that, like, I call it my spackle thing, but it's, you know, I started using this at first, and then I figured out Diana. So, you know, I used this instead. I have two of these because I'm constantly misplacing them. So I'm gonna take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna set these aside. You can see that I already made little holes in them. I'm gonna have some yarn here. You know, it'd be really helpful if, you know, you had like a darning needle or something, but for whatever reason, I can never ever find my darning needles. So what I usually do is I sort of MacGyver it with a wire, like you can see what I'm doing here. I mean, if it decides to work, that is. There we go. So I'm just gonna take, actually, I'm just gonna take my yarn. I mean, you could use thread also. I just, you know, I crochet, so I have a lot of yarn. And, you know, it is what it is. Forgive my clumsiness. It is about 6 o'clock in the morning at the moment, so, you know, in my defense, it's a little early. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna make 2 signatures, and then 2 signatures meaning 2 of these little bound thingies, books, and then I'm gonna put them together. I usually like to go from the outside in, so I'm just gonna stick my makeshift needle into the hole, that's what she said, and put the next one in through the next hole. And put that aside for a moment. Fold this up. And this is the one I just put the yarn through. This is the second signature. I'm putting the needle in through the hole. This is sort of a lazy person's bookbinding, you know, because when I developed this method, I was trying really hard to do the Coptic stitch, and for whatever reason, I just couldn't figure it out. So I had developed this method of my own. I know I'm going kind of fast. I'll explain to you in a moment what I'm doing. Okay. 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 Okay, so basically, you saw I had the first signature, the first set of 5 pages, and I went in from the first hole that I had there. I went in and then out the bottom one. And then I took the second signature and laid it on top, went in through in through the bottom and then out through the top. And then I went back to the first signature, in, then out, and then into the second one, in, then out, and then I just tied it there. So it's basically a Coptic stitch, sort of, but with only one set of holes. With a Coptic stitch, you would be making 2 sets of holes, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Here, that's only one, and it does the job. And we've got this book that we can do all sorts of things with. And then you've got all this fun yarn because, you know, you always I always end up cutting like way too much, you know. So now we are going to fill this up with some art. I'm going to work on the first page with you. Okay, so I've got my stencil. I like to start off the page with the stencil, and then I can figure out what I'm gonna do as far as my direction creatively is concerned. So I've got the mister and the stencil both by Deco Art, and I'm just kind of gonna go like that. Set this aside, because then what you can do is when this is all dry, you can wipe the stencil clean on the second page. That's what I like to do. And you just wait for this to dry and figure out what you're gonna do next. So I've got my page here, and sorry, I'm also drinking coffee because coffee is life. Got this paint, and always use a towel. A good tip if you feel like painting, like in the morning before you go to work or something, like I do, because in general that's the only time I have time. I have a nice towel, and I put that, you know, on my lap, like if you were at a fancy restaurant or something, because it's just, you know, then you don't have to worry about getting your clothes all messed up. And, oh, you can't see what I'm doing over here. Okay, there. So I have a little bit of paint here, and I'm just doing this. Okay, so that looks decent, and I'm gonna do the other side, I guess the same way. What I did was this. I just worked it like that. I'm a lefty, so this is like awkward for me right now. Like, it was totally fine doing the other side of the page. For some reason my brain is like, oh my god, I cannot compute. This is weird, right? Why is my brain doing that? I know it's because I'm a lefty. I know it's because my brain wants to work on that side only. Artistic expression shouldn't take too much time. I hear a lot of classically trained artists who say, oh, you know, I haven't painted in such a long time. I just don't have the time. And I say to them that, you know, you really don't need a whole lot of time. I mean, I don't know how much time you're expecting, you know, to have, but time isn't something that any of us get a whole lot of, especially the older you get. You just have to demand time for yourself. So now, I think I'm not really sure what to do next. I think I'm going to go with some of this. And I have this little handy like dauber thing. Sometimes I like doing it with my fingers. Today I just don't friggin' feel like it. So I'm just gonna randomly put some on here. Oops, that was a bad idea, Diana. And then I'll go down here. All right, I think that looks pretty cool. I like when things look a little more messy, when those look a little more messy. So we're gonna take a gamble by doing something different. They don't always turn out great, but all right, so here's this. I'm gonna fold this over. Right. And let's see if the, all right, well, it's, I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. But let's regroup by doing something different. Okay, so now I've got some purple paint by DecoArt, and I'm just going to do a basic cloud, or whatever these things are that appear in all my art these days. I just can't get them out of my head. My daughter the other day, she's like, Mama, why do you paint so many clouds? And I'm like, I don't know, because I can't get them out of my head. I was like, once I get them out of my head, then I can stop painting them. But for now, they're all in my head, and I'm going to paint them until they get out of my mind, of my head. And you can do whatever you want to your page. I just like to show you how I work my pages. Maybe you can get a little inspiration. Maybe you can see how I express myself creatively and then do something similar. I always recommend you get your own style, you develop your own way of doing things. And then, you know, obviously, rather than directly copying somebody else's work, even if it's from a tutorial, always develop your own kind of way of expressing yourself. Never copy someone's art directly, because A, it's really stupid, because then you're not making art, you're just being some like whatever, and B, because then to really express yourself, start learning how to do it in your style. You develop your own style by seeing things the way you see them. It helps to start painting what you see, sketching things, you know. You should never start painting by painting abstract art. You should start painting by sketching real things, people and birds or whatever, because then that helps you see, it helps you perceive, and then you're able to develop your own style from there. And then you can take that and it somehow carries into abstract art, I promise. Alright, we're going to let this paint dry and then figure out what we're going to do next. Okay, so I'm back to my my pink paint, and I decided to go over the pink spots here, because I like the pink look, you know? And yeah. I stuck it in too far, that's what he said. Okay, the paintbrush, that is. Okay. So since this overlaps a little bit, I'm just going to make it all overlap. I like that. I think I like that. And that part over there is fine. I don't think I need to do anything to that. Now, I'm going to get my black paint and one of these little daubers. And all you need is a little bit of the paint that's on the top. God damn it. Page over. Now that I like. I like when the paint kind of overlaps. You can see all the different colors overlapped on both sides of the page, and that's kind of what I was looking for. Definitely. Now we're going to take, let's see. some blue. Let's see if it works. Yeah, no, not really. All right, red. We'll go for red. And yeah, there. Now we're gonna let this dry, and almost finished with this page. So yeah, let this dry. I'll be back. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cover the pages like that. And that's how I kind of spread a lot of the paint around. And that's fine. That's kind of what I wanted. Now let's decide what we're going to do next. So I have to admit, I'm really not satisfied with the way this page is turning out. I don't usually have a plan, and I just kind of go with the flow, but so far I'm not very satisfied. So let me see what I can do with this turquoise colored chalk paint, which is one of my favorite things in the world. I'm just going to, well, you can't see from there, but I should probably one day have like a real actual plan, but I just don't usually, I feel like with abstract art I just can't have a plan, or else it just never turns out right. If I have a plan, it just doesn't, you know, then that's not the point of me doing abstract work. So I think I like the way that looks. I'm gonna go ahead and do it on the other side. This paint, when in doubt, purple clouds are awesome, right? So I do something like this. You know, usually with my art, I kind of tend to do a lot of layers of things that may or may not have turned out the right way. That's just kind of the process when it comes to doing abstract things. You kind of build up these layers of acrylic paint, and you know, something may or may not have worked out, and then you just paint over it and you do something else, you know. Alright, so we're gonna let this dry, and then I think there's one more layer and I think we'll be done. So I decided I'm gonna take my little my roller thing, my whatever the name is, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and do that. Only in one direction, like that. And whenever there is, there, again, just in one direction. And that gives it a really interesting look. So then the cloud has all these cool, you know, layers of color peeking out, which I really love. Okay. Another thing I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of this paintbrush and do that. And flip this to the other side so you can see what I'm doing. I will show you what it looks like. I think it looks interesting so far. Not sure if I want to do anything more to it, but I'm going to wait for the paint to dry and come back. So I have this painted collage page. If you become a Patreon member, if you visit my Patreon page, it's patreon.com/Diana Rivera. I offer these digitally, so you would get these, you know, on Patreon you would get these digitally, and then you can print them out and make art and stuff like that with them. So I'm just tearing a few of them. And where's my glue stick? Here it is. Sorry, I was busy telling my kid to not touch my shit because she was touching my shit. I'm just going to, can you see what I'm doing? Barely. Alright. I'm just going to put glue on a few of them. And I like these collage sheets because it adds a different element to whatever it is that you're working on at the moment. So there's that. And there is that. We're going to do something like that, if you can see. And I'll take this. Where is this pair of scissors? What we are going to do is this. And that's what I like. Okay, so this is what the page looks like. I ran out of memory, so in the previous clip when I tried to tell you where to follow me and everything, but this is what it looks like so far. I'm not sure if I'm done with it, but I'll end the video now. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram. It's badtoymural, so that's BADTOYMURAL on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. It's facebook.com/thecraftaholic fan page. My website is thecraftaholic.com, and I'm on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Diana Rivera. I will be creating more and more videos like this, and stay tuned to my fan page and on Instagram to see if I add any more to this page. And I guess next week I will do page 2. I think that's all for now. Please subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to follow me on social media and everything like that. And tell me how much you like this video. Alright, thanks, bye.